Welcome to the 24th episode of the Culture of Splife podcast. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media. We're at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, I guess, too. We're at Culture of Splife everywhere you can find us. Also, if you're listening to us in syndication, you're probably listening from Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but we are everywhere you can get your podcast. So just look us up at Culture of Splife. We're going to be waiting on the guys to come in. I see Rod's joining, so let's get on right quick.
Hey.
What is going on?
Oh, man. Another gorgeous Tuesday.
What's up, y'all?
All right, y'all talk amongst yourselves right quick. I got to fix.
All right.
What's going on for this early week, Mr. Crago?
Man, just breaking news, that I've been wanting to talk about all day. Breaking news.
What you got breaking for us?
What you do?
Some eggs? We're making an omelet?
Well, sounds like the Cartoon Live League may be merging with the PGA Tour. Something that the PGA Tour said would never happen.
That's what we would like to call a bombshell.
Yes, I would say. That's what you call money over morality, is what I read today. Yes. So you had the guys, the Brooks Koepkas, the DeChambeaus, the not Cameron Smith, the guy that won what did he win? He won some major last year. I think his name may be Cameron Smith. Mm-hmm. These guys that went over there for hundreds of millions of dollars. And then the likes of Tiger Woods that turned down potentially $1 billion. Rory McIlroy that turned down upwards of 300, 400 million. I read that Ricky Fowler turned down 75 million. Matsuyama turned down 300 million. And now here comes the leader of the PGA Tour saying that we're going to merge with Live.
I guess my question is, what do you guys think is going to be the ultimate impact of this?
Well, there are going to be a lot of guys on the PGA Tour that are either going to have to go to some other tour or eat crow, because they've been saying things like, how can you take money from a country that's responsible for terrorism and killing a journalist and being responsible for parts of 9/11, all these things, to now could be their boss,
I mean, we were talking pregame, like Saudi Arabia has gotten seriously aggressive in like most sports right now, because if you look at all the rumors that are out there in terms of the level of money that they're willing to pump into these soccer stars, from Messi and all of them, like, I mean, we're talking about, several hundreds of millions of dollars a year, right? So, I mean, that's crazy. And then I know Drew is a big WWE fan as well, and it was rumored for a while. And I mean, I think, like ESPN and a lot of your major networks, in fact, just major news networks were covering the potential merger that actually they were just going to buy out the WWE. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what the rumors was the Saudi fund, I will call it, because I don't remember the exact name of it, was going to buy the WWE outright. And this is an interesting concept, because it is for the revitalization of Saudi Arabia, right? From a a non-political perspective. Okay, so like, you know, the three of us exist in the U.S. and we talk on the daily and never mention politics with each other. And that's the thing you have to consider Saudi Arabians are like as well, right? You know, they talk without mentioning politics with one another. And that Saudi fund is to show more of the human side of the people of Saudi Arabia, right? To show that this is a place you can come, you can travel to. They have some awesome stuff there. They're gonna put their hands at the very least in every sport that they can to grow this fund, and it's government fed funding. These companies are paying taxes into this fund, and that's where they're getting the money to do this stuff. So, you know, and to your point, the WWE was looking like it was going to be gobbled up by this fund, but obviously you don't have to sell just because somebody's offering to buy you. And that's the rumor, that the WWE didn't sell. So it's kind of interesting to me with this breaking news on the tour, if that's going to also be the case. Is this one of those things that they put their toes in the water, see the backlash, and then back out? Or is this an individual who isn't necessarily associated with Saudi Arabia? They just so happen to live there, right?
Yeah, I think that's the big question. Exactly what you said. That's spot on.
Because I think government money that's involved in this, I think that's what gives people the scary, oh no, it's owned by the Saudi government. But it literally is the government trying to distance themselves from the past and make themselves more appealing to the Western world, so to speak, being the United States, Europe, and you know, all of that. So it's an interesting demographic. Of course, I get to see this all the time, as you mentioned, in soccer. And right now, we've got rumors floating around that Saudi Arabia is actually trying to buy Messi, basically. So that works. There's also been talks that Miami, of all places in the MLS, is also trying to buy Messi.
Yep, I heard that.
And that, of course, makes you wonder, if he lands in the MLS, could Saudi Arabia just purchase the entire MLS? Because it's a viable.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I mean, but nobody's throwing money around like they are right now.
No, and we're talking Messi's. They're talking of a contract like $400 million a year, $2 billion total, $2 billion with a B. Like, we thought Peyton Manning made an absurd amount of money when he got his last contract at Denver in the NFL. That is chump change. This is billion with a B for an athlete.
Right. What did Peyton get? Like 35 million or something? We were freaking out.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's laughable now, like looking at it.
Yeah. Or Messi's dad said he may want to just go back to Barca. So we'll see. Be interesting, but here we go. Money over morality. Yet again, if they're going to offer him 120 million at Barca, 400 million at whatever the Saudi Soccer Federation is. You know, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. I didn't lose respect for Brooks Koepka because he just called it like it was. He said, man, they're offering me so much money, I'm going for the money. That's what I'm doing. And he didn't try to talk about, oh, well, you know, the PGA Tour this, the PGA Tour that, they're not fair to us, all this. He was like, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing it.
I don't think at the end of the day, I mean, we have to take everybody's word with what they say to us, right? We can't truly know what they're thinking. But at the end of the day, I don't think that it's the morality piece of it. I think it's the safety piece of it, right? To know that I can go somewhere and earn a lot of money, or I can go somewhere else and earn, buttloads of money, but that buttloads of money may get me exiled from my country
Sure.
and my way of life and my living. And 1 year with a buttload of money may not equal the 20, 30 years, because these are PGA players, right? They don't have to retire. Like, they just keep on trucking until they get older, right? They literally stop playing when they want to stop playing. And when you're looking at longevity, you can still make more money in the PGA than something brand new that's unknown that may get you, that black ball, so to speak. And so, again, we can say what we want to. They all started doing it for the money. It's what we enjoy doing, and we got paid for it. Absolutely. Sign me up. All day, every day. I'm always taking that deal. So it's a no-brainer. You're going to do it. If you get offered more money, go do it for more money. But again, what is more money? Now with the merger, if they combine, I don't know how that money stands. I don't know what that money is going to look like. That's going to be the interesting piece. If the merger goes through,
yep.
The PGA player is going to be making the lower amount, and then the elite players making big bucks.
Yep. DeChambeau and Koepka are feeling pretty good about their decision, and Mickelson feeling really good. Yep. I just saw Day One got in here. What are your thoughts, Day One? He may have just been breezing through.
Well, I mean, I know we've been talking a little bit about as far as what the Saudis are doing as far as like making these moves in the sports world. And correct me if I'm not wrong, too. Like they did a trial run with a pay-per-view like 3 years ago in the WWE, like that to start it. And now it's every single year. And obviously one of the biggest issues they had from a morality standpoint was the way they treated women. Because I think initially women were not allowed to wrestle at these pay-per-views because they didn't allow women to do these sporting events. Then it went to, okay, the women can now do them. They just have to be fully dressed and everything else. And so it's more from that standpoint. So it's gone from, I can't believe that they would be in this country that doesn't value women's rights to now every single year there's a pay-per-view there and women are wrestling. So it's kind of one of those things where you talk about too is are they trying to integrate in such a way where it's more appealing and you're throwing around the money that you have to where people, it's an offer that they can't refuse. So I mean, that's why you're starting to see them gradually have more confidence about where they can go with this thing and the level of money they can throw in to say, okay, well, we got you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's part of the revitalization fund that you're talking about. I want to say it was originally like called the 2020, vision or whatever, something like that. Saudi had a good play on words. I think now it's been up to 2050 is how far they've extended it, because they've had so much success bringing in, again, what we consider the Western world, so to speak, of bringing events there. And the WWE, hands down, was the largest contributor and also the largest receiver of money to date. And it's to your point, when they first started out, it was 0 women involved, no women at all. We're going to have one, and we're going to bring a skeleton crew of people. There was 20 wrestlers that were on a plane over there, and that was it. And even some of the wrestlers that were supposed to go boycotted, and they had to get replaced and stuff like that. It was a bad sour taste. We went from that to, again, women dressed, like this. Literally, that's how they wrestled, was they were covered. It seriously wasn't faces, but it was all the way up to here.
Wow.
I mean, they basically wore like cat
Yeah,
suits.
we didn't show wrists off. I mean, they were covered up to 2 pay-per-views ago now, dressing like normal-ish, so to speak, because they're kind of provocative in the U.S. Honestly, they could probably dress.
Yeah, I mean, they have their own
here.
designs with their cat suits.
Yeah,
yeah,
and now
maybe it was for COVID.
You even had people that were boycotting men that boycotted the first event that were like, no, never, almost main eventing, right? It was the biggest tag team match ever, in a Saudi event, and you had somebody that actively boycotted previously. Wouldn't even get on the plane to go, much less have a match.
I mean, and then if you look at their crowds, they're pulling in like WrestleMania crowds for this.
Yeah. We're talking some of the biggest shows, like 50s to 60,000 people,
and like football level stadiums or soccer stadiums.
And
so to your point, Josh, like the play that they're making at the PGA and potentially in soccer, oh, it's real. I mean, and I mean these are real possibilities.
Crazy. So speaking of a real possibility, Miami Heat. What do y'all think?
Oh,
we'll see how that ages.
Yeah, so far, you guys, your predictions have aged okay.
That's right. We still got.
I'm gonna say okay because I think you guys both said they would win one at home.
Yeah.
That 1 and 2 was in the bag, and 3 or 4 was going to be the loss.
Yeah.
I'm still saying Nuggets in 3, I guess now. three more games, Mrs. Craigo. 3 more games. That's all you got to endure, NBA. I'm sorry I was wrong. The Heat pulled one out.
You got to endure one more game, according to Drew.
I don't get the loss at home. I don't, because I mean it was like that's one of the best basketball games that has probably happened in the finals in a while, from the standpoint of it was in the bag, it was out of the bag, the bag had swapped hands, it was in the bag, and then it was a good game again.
But that's the exact script that
right.
Miami Heat games have played to, like the entire playoffs this year. It's battle, have it slip away, battle back, nip and tuck, find a way at the end.
Those are the perfect games for us men with children, right? Because you always have like that moment of, I'm gonna watch this whole game and not take my eyes off. But then the kids happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we got to get some baths. We got to go brush your teeth, man. Get out of I got to go check up on you, make sure your room's clean, that sort of thing. That's where the game. Then you come back and you're like, all right, this is a game again. Yeah, this is good. And then you walk away again and you come back and you're like, yeah, we got a game again. All right, yeah, that was that game.
Yeah.
I don't think the other 3 games are going to be that game.
No. Yeah. I mean, I'm a household with a wife and 2 daughters, and we watched the whole game.
Oh, really? So all of y'all were glued?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We watched the whole game, especially. I mean, it was kind of in the background, but when the Heat made their run, when it was, from being down 15 to getting it back to around 6, 8-ish, everybody was locked in the rest of the game.
Well, I know that Josh DVR'd it because he's texting us at like 11 p.m. talking about it, and it's funny because I'd almost texted earlier about, oh my god, and I'm glad I didn't, that I had the foresight to like not ruin
notifications are off. I'm in do not disturb. If I got a good game, I'm DVRing.
That's a good call on that, because like I said, I almost ruined it. Because you guys know I go to bed like, in fact, right now it's past my bedtime. I don't know how you guys talk me into staying up this late on Tuesdays, but yeah, I almost ruined it. Seriously, I almost sent a text, and I straight up fell asleep even after the game was fairly exciting. Then I saw y'all blew it up at about 11 o'clock that evening, and was sending texts. Of course, I woke up at 5. I didn't want to text y'all back and be like, "Oh, it's okay."
Well, I told y'all that I watch these games, and when they get to like 10, 11 points, I just hit fast forward and just watch the score.
Yeah,
no. I didn't do that because of the podcast. I knew we'd be talking about it, so I wanted to be able to talk about any aspect of it, and I'm so glad I did, because the Nuggets were up by like 15 beginning of the second quarter, and the Heat got it down to 8, I think, going into the half, and then just blew them out in the third quarter. That's not right. They came out hot, and then the Nuggets came back, and then they beat them by they were down 8 going into the fourth
Right.
quarter. The Heat were. That's not the half. Yeah, they were down 15 going into the half, weren't they?
Early second quarter, they were down 15.
Yeah. Okay. So they were down 8 going into the fourth quarter, and then Duncan Robinson. We're going to talk about him in a little bit, but Duncan Robinson happened. Yeah. So, but before we get to that, as I was watching the game, the Heat were up by 10 with 3 minutes to go, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, they went Portland Trailblazers on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Jimmy was just standing at half court, just dribbling till it got down to 6 seconds. And then he started playing one-on-one basketball. And I was like, they're just trying to run the clock, and that's not going to work.
Yeah, and it was activate Jamal Murray, and it almost put it into overtime.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So what are y'all's thoughts on fouling or not fouling when you're up 3 points with 1 possession left?
Oh man. If I'm going against a team that has several guys that can make threes, and you got to look at Denver's track record right now, they've got guys making contested threes. Anthony Davis is, draped on you and you're chunking it up in the air and it's going in type of stuff.
I would be more inclined. The shot clock.
Yeah. I would be more inclined to foul if I've got multiple weapons. Now, if I'm on a team where there's 1 3-point shooter, that's a legitimate one, then, you lock him down, face guard him, just don't give him any airspace or an opportunity. And you can just kind of take your chances with them. I mean, if I'm playing the Lakers, I take my chances on them making a 3-pointer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the announcers, Jackson and Van Gundy, were going nuts when they didn't foul. Never understand why you wouldn't see. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
They were going nuts. And what was interesting is they were saying Jamal got a clean look. And I guess it was a clean look, but it was a step back.
Right.
And step back percentage isn't nearly as good as a clean look.
Well, I think they were saying that just simply because this is the type of guy that can routinely make those high degree of difficulty shots like that.
That's right.
And if he can see the goal, you got a chance of that being in overtime.
Right.
It's the NBA. What's defense anyway? Yeah, it's a clean look, sure. Whatever.
and I mean he didn't miss it by just a ton either. And so if that game goes into overtime, the Heat can just hang it up.
That's right. So what's your call? You're still thinking gentleman's sweep, or you think it'll go to 6 or 7?
Oh, me? No. Yeah, we're done. The Nuggets are mad now. I think you poked the beast. I see double-digit wins
from here on out.
Next 3 games. Yeah. I really do. I think you angered the beast. Because I shared the stat with you guys. When what is it? 40 points are scored by one particular player.
Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets have lost every single game this season, which has only happened 4 times, which is interesting because they played a lot more than 4 games. So I just don't think. I think that's a problem that they've established 1, 2, 3, 4 times now, and they fixed it every time. Is what I'm thinking has happened in the past. Of course, I guess in the sense of us being potential sports writers, right? We have to tell a good story and say, "Oh no, this may be the Heat's chance now. They found the hole in the armor." Yeah, they're not doing it. No way.
I'm inclined to believe that there's a very real possibility it could go 6. Just simply because I can envision, say, the Heat gutting out game 4. But the reality of the situation too is the Heat are just so reliant on role players / unsung heroes, but it's not like the Bulls in the 90s where Steve Kerr or BJ Armstrong or Judd Bushler could show up in that one game and all of a sudden they could give you like 10 to 15 points, and that's the difference between closing the series out in game 6 or 5 or whatever it may be. And that's like one player, right?
But it's because you had the teams like, you have 3 people on Jordan and 2 people on Pippen. So of course you had 3 people that were just
so you
hanging
would get
out.
that one. Yeah, you would get that one. But it's like for the Heat to win, like it came down to the end, and they've got to have like 4 of those guys, 4 of those role players, like playing out of their minds in one game to have a shot to win it. And it's just so like there's a part of me that thinks it could go to 6, but then there's the other part of me that if you start playing the percentages, what's the likelihood of you getting, Duncan, Gabe, Vincent, and Stoops and all the other guys that show up all on the same night to have that shot. It's just you're asking a lot to get all those guys just locked in. Like maybe 1 or 2 in one game, but you're not. It's hard to get like 4.
So, like in all seriousness, though, if you look at it across the board, if the playoffs wind up the way that we're saying they wind up, does that mean that the Suns were really the second best team? Because they're the ones that really put up the fight against the Nuggets, I feel like.
I really believe so. I mean, if you look at Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul all on one team, I mean, even most of your talking heads basically looked at that particular series as this is almost a de facto NBA Finals.
Well, keep in mind, Chris Paul got hurt early in the series.
That's
true. He didn't play much.
Yeah, I had forgot about that. There's been so much basketball played since then that I did forget about that. So you're absolutely right. Because the only reason I bring that up is because I was watching highlights today from the whole tournament, and I'm like, man, again, the only home game that the Nuggets have lost was last night, right? They were 8-0 at home.
Correct.
So, or not last night, but Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, God, dog, that means the Suns really put it to them. Like it now, guys, if this goes into game 3 and the Heat ends up on top, we may be singing a different song to each other, but we'll have to wait for that to come. So what are you feeling, Craigo?
I mean, the way Malone blasted them about their lack of defense, I expect. I mean, my gentleman's sweep was that the Heat would win game 3. I think the Nuggets win by 12 to 14 in game 3. They muscle out game 4, maybe win by 3 or 4, and then they absolutely blow them out in game 5. I'm still taking my gentleman's sweep.
Yeah.
But, it works out well, right? Because you don't want to win the championship on your opponent's turf anyway. So that's all they were doing was getting it back home, bringing it back home.
That's right. What's up, Niga? Wow, that's a blast from the past right there. That's another guy that I went to high school with.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, he could come on. He played on the varsity basketball team.
What is in the water at that high school? That's what I want to know.
No doubt. Yeah, we had some superstars, but we're going to save that because we were supposed to have a guest, from my high school tonight. But that didn't work out this week. But I know it's going to work out in the future because he's already signed a contract with me, and I'm going to hold you to it. You know who you are. So that'll be coming up. Well, we're going to take next week off, right? So maybe the following week, because he told me he was good for this week, but I think he did that without knowing what day of the week we air.
Right.
Right. So
yeah.
that kind of made things difficult. But
we're looking forward to it, my man. You know who you are.
That's it.
This is the culture of Splife time slot.
Right.
It's kind of like the Friends time slot was on Thursday nights that we all loved in the 90s and early aughts, but we're rebranding it.
That's right.
This is the culture
real
of
estate,
Splife
baby.
time slot.
That's right. Absolutely. So speaking of on time, how about your boy Duncan Robinson?
Ooh.
Wow. 10 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Wow. I mean, this is, for those of y'all that are listening for the first time, as Drew said, this is culture of Splife. So we're the intersection of sports and life. So we talk a good bit about sports, but we also like to intertwine some life. And sometimes life and sports are the same kind of segment for the life segment. And that's exactly what I want to do here. We talked about it pregame, Duncan Robinson. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was a Division III basketball player. He showed out there. He got on with Michigan. He did okay there. I was actually surprised he didn't get drafted. So he doesn't get drafted. He signs with Miami for, I'm sure, the league minimum or whatever. His rookie year, he shoots almost 50% from the three-point line. In the offseason, he signs a 5-year, $90 million contract, the richest contract in undrafted free agent history. And you're talking about a guy who was told, no, you're too skinny, you can't jump, you can't take it to the rack, all you can do is shoot, and sometimes you can't even do that. You have no chance.
I mean, he's America's underdog, and it's just so interesting that you talk about that, and it's just truly a story of perseverance. And even in the game, in game 2, like his outburst in that fourth quarter at the beginning is a microcosm of everything he's had to go through his life. I mean, nobody's looking for him. I mean, in fact, we're about to go ahead and just chalk it up as Denver's about to pull away here. How long is it going to be before this 8-point lead turns into a 15-point lead again? You're not coming back this time. But, of course, he basically goes on, what is it like? He scores like 10 out of the 12 points for their like 12-2 run. And all of a sudden now Miami's up 2 when they're down 8. And it's, now, back to our regularly scheduled program is what we're thinking. We're already in progress, which is Denver pulls away as they've been doing. And as you talked about, Drew, they hadn't lost any games at home. So they're supposed to put these guys away, right? And so he just continues to battle, unexpected, and he makes it happen, and he's instrumental in his team's success, just like he's been instrumental in his own success. And I think that it really sets up and provides an example or a testimony to just all those guys that are being overlooked in any area of life that just continue to stay the course and persevere through just everything. Like I actually had my daughter read this book. It was Chop Wood, Carry Water, and the book talks about you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on your training, right? And so it's safe to say that the only person not surprised by Duncan Robinson's success is Duncan Robinson, because he's trained for this his entire life.
That's exactly right. And that's the same thing with the Miami Heat. Nobody believed in the Miami Heat but the Miami Heat. And now you have an 8 seed who, let's call it what it is, they have home court advantage in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, they do.
which is amazing. And Jimmy Butler, I mean, I don't know if I talked about it last week or not, but if I did, just stop me because I'm old now. But Jimmy Butler messaged Sloane Stevens, from the WPT, and asked her if she wanted tickets to the NBA Finals. And that was after they lost to the Hawks in the play-in game. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy, and that's another, you want to talk about perseverance. That's Jimmy Butler. And I know we talked about him in a previous, when we had a Jimmy Bucket segment, but this guy was told that he didn't look good enough by his mama, and he got kicked out at 13 years old.
It's a good thing my mama didn't have that rule, because my brothers would have all been kicked out, man. I would have been the only kid at home. my brothers, it would have been me and my sister just living it up. That would have been it. That's just, they would have been done.
That's right. No doubt. You know, he's homeless. Then he gets picked up by a friend's mom at 13 years old and doesn't even get a Division I scholarship, plays JUCO, and then gets an opportunity with Marquette and one other school, and chose Marquette. Why? Because of the education that he could get at Marquette. And then he's the 31st pick by the Bulls. He averages like 3 points a game his rookie year. And here again, they're throwing him out with the bathwater. And then he just persevered. So, I mean, those two guys, that's the reason why the Miami Heat are there, because you have multiple stories. I mean, I don't know Caleb Martin's story other than he was a stud at Nevada and didn't get drafted.
Yep.
And he's got a chip on his shoulder. I know that the guy that I can never remember, the point guard, you said his name a minute ago, not Shane.
Gabe
I keep thinking Gabe Vincent. Yeah. I have Shane Larkin in my head for some reason. If you remember him from Miami Hurricanes.
Yes.
Shane Larkin. But yeah, Gabe Vincent, another guy, undrafted. You know, then you have the kid, Max Strus, undrafted, comes out and drills 4 threes in the first quarter when he went 0 for 9 in game 1. I mean, that is the reason why they won that game.
I mean, that's their team's DNA.
That's exactly right. And, I mean, he's got a chip on his shoulder, too. Lisa Salters was interviewing him at the end of the first quarter, and he's like, I don't care. I missed 9 shots last game. Shoot or shoot. And he just walked off. And I was like, yep. I mean, they just had that fire. So, you know, I won't be angry. I won't be upset if I'm wrong. What a story!
I mean, it's America's story if we're wrong. So I mean, so it's still just. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, for one, an 8 seeds never won it, and then I mean, you look at the stories behind this 8 seed here. This isn't like an 8 seed where, I mean, let's just be honest. Like, okay, the Lakers were a 7 seed, but if the Lakers won the championship, none of us would be surprised, because it's like, okay, you can have those 7 and 8 seeds where like the guys are on, like, you know, load management for like 3/4 of the season. And so, you know, it's, I mean, I see day one. I hate that for you, you know, but
day one, I didn't know that. Oh man.
but this is a real 8 seed with a real your underdog story behind it. So
that's right. I mean, day one, like, if what's his name that y'all got from the Hawks, Gallinari, if he doesn't get hurt, there's your Max Strus, you know. So you had to make room for Danilo Gallinari's 47-year-old self to tear his ACL in preseason or whatever that was. So you made the right call there. And y'all didn't need any shooters, right? You had everybody filling it up in game 6 and game 7. You were all set.
Oh, the Boston hate. It's a tough time to cheer for Boston. It really is.
Oh man,
across the board, a tough time. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of any other decade in the history of cheering for Boston, except for when the Patriots were good. That's what it reminds me of.
You had the Bruins.
I'm obviously joking. I don't hate Boston by any means, but if there is a town that, like, it may be cursed. It could be legitimately, like, almost is Boston's motto. I'm pretty sure, because they are always almost there in sports all across the board, from top to bottom. Like I said, except for when the Patriots were good. And who knows, they may be back this year.
Y'all know I'm all Chicago, but Chicago is in second place for domestic cities for me. Boston took the lead.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's right.
Boston is an awesome city. It's an awesome city. Yeah, no doubt. You need Jaylen Brown to work on his game, just period. He focuses way too much on what Jason Tatum's doing. So before the Celtics give him $58 million or $55 million a year, ooh, I'm going to need him to step up. Because when Tatum hurts his ankle in the first quarter, they needed Jaylen Brown to stand up, and he shot like 8 of 27 or something from the field.
Yeah, I mean, that actually goes into last week's show where we talked about Robin posing as Batman, but only showing that he has Robin-like capabilities.
That's exactly right.
Look, I'm really concerned, Rod. Like we went from this whole Boston thing. I know we're talking about sports, but I think we need to talk about life for a second because something's happened to Josh. He's obviously been replaced. How has Boston become your number one city over Chicago?
Look at my picture behind me here.
I see it.
Downtown Chicago.
What's you got to tell us what it is about Boston.
What happened with Boston?
It's really laid back. It's got everything that you need. You know, it's got sports. It's got streets that you can walk on at all hours of the night. And I unfortunately just do not feel as comfortable in downtown Chicago as I have for the last many years. I used to go to Chicago every year, and I had a good buddy of mine that'd be like, man, do you know what the crime rate is in Chicago? And I'd be like, man, that's on the west side. That's in Inglewood. Like that's nothing. And now stuff has creeped into Chicago, into downtown Chicago. And I want to go places where I feel safe with my family. And we were up there for 4th of July in 2020, and some of the only people traveling, but we never stopped. And I'm literally walking down Wabash Avenue, which for those of y'all that don't know Chicago, that is 1 block west of Michigan Avenue.
Yep.
And we're walking back to our hotel, and all of a sudden there are all these kids that are running towards us. And I'm hearing, bah, 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 bah. So I'm very calm, cool. You know, I'm thinking, okay, there may be a shooting up here, but we're just going to kind of take it easy. And I look onto Wabash Avenue, and there are firecrackers spinning around, going off like crazy under people's cars, next to people's cars, all this stuff. And the people that started it are running away from it while the innocent bystanders are walking towards it, and the poor people's cars that are parked on Wabash. And at that moment, I was like, you know what? Chicago's cool, but I'm good not coming back for a little while.
Yeah.
All right. That's fair, I guess.
Yeah, good reasons.
Now, my family went last year and didn't have any problems at all. You know, August, September timeframe. So
okay, but I love pizza though, and like, what's Boston's food? Like, what do you eat when you're in Boston?
So I went to the Ye Old Oyster House, and I had some of the best New England clam chowder. I'm a huge chowder head. It was fantastic. My son had lobster. And I think I might have to post that on our page. Okay. Our server showed him how to get the lobster out, and it was the most amazing thing. His eyes got about this big when she did it. So I'm a big seafood guy, so definitely seafood. But, you know, we're deep dish pizza all the way. So Giordano's is our spot in Chicago. And I know
Chicago pizza was amazing from a few years ago for us. But Boston is also really known for their pub food too, though, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, great pub food. I'm not really into lobster rolls a whole lot.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not into like that mayonnaise whatever concoction, but I believe, and Day One can probably help me here, but there's some style that you can get where it's just lobster and butter, and that's what Katie had when she was up there last year. But we didn't have a chance to have one of those. But yeah, you know, I definitely would say Chicago pizza over lobster, but probably not over clam chowder though. But that's not a whole meal, you know. That's just a little appetizer.
I can eat clam chowder with pizza.
It costs as much as a whole meal,
Oh,
My
excuse me.
bowl
That's
of
getting you
clam chowder was
started.
$13 for a bowl of clam chowder. $13.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
A
So
lot of money for a starter.
that's right. Exactly.
I think we need to do a whole episode where Rod uses that accent. That's what.
And Drew doesn't have his shirt on. Let's see how that,
Right.
how that goes.
Hey, if it keeps getting hot as it's been, I might have to go shirtless. It's 78 degrees in my office right now. We're heating things up in here. It's talking about
go.
Miami, I guess.
There you go. So y'all have any parting shots before we close out?
3 more games. That's it.
3 more games. You heard it here, Katie. She's in Nashville right now, but I'm sure she's listening. I'm sure she's not eating at any like 5-star restaurants or anything up there. None of that stuff. Being wined and dined, that's probably not happening because she's up there for work, you know. So it's all business. Yeah, for sure.
I'll be in Nashville next week, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a nice.
You
nice
have to tell me
place
where.
up there.
You'll have to tell me the spots to go.
You got to go to Potbelly. Go get a sandwich at Potbelly.
Okay.
I just stay in Birmingham because I heard Nashville was closed for repairs. So, so you probably weren't here for that one, Josh. Do you remember that ride?
No.
This sign, it used to be on I-65. It literally said, "Stay in Birmingham. Nashville's closed for repairs."
Wow.
It was a billboard in the style of like, you know, a green interstate sign. And it literally said that. That was probably late 90s, you know, like maybe even before that, maybe before pre-driving for us. That might have been riding in the parents' car that I remember seeing that. So, so that was before Josh wound up here in Birmingham.
Right.
So
That's right.
Yeah, the sad thing about it for Alabama is you could make a claim that they should all be closed for repairs, the Alabama roads. So
they are, aren't they?
yeah, I mean, like the craziest thing is when you go from like Georgia, from Alabama to Georgia, or you go from Alabama to Tennessee, like the minute you go over the state line, you instantly get smooth roads.
Look, I don't want to talk about. I don't even want to talk about going to Georgia. I mean, y'all know I'm in Georgia like every other day. Basically, like I'm there seriously like at least once a month. I'm in Georgia because I live a lot closer than you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
But because it makes almost as much sense logistically for me to go to Georgia as it does for me to go to Birmingham, as close as I am. So find my house on a map, listeners. That's a task for you guys to do while we're off next week. But yeah, so I'm okay with the road that gets me to Georgia. What I'm not okay with is the people that are heading to Georgia that obviously learned how to drive in Atlanta. You can say what you want to about their roads being superior. Their driving schools are not.
Oh, no. Well, when you have to wait in as much traffic as those people in Atlanta do, I mean, it's just it creates a whole different animal and mindset about how you attack driving.
Look, I have driven in every major U.S. city that has been mentioned on this podcast outside of Boston. I have driven in Chicago. I have driven in New York. I've driven in L.A. L.A. still better than driving in Atlanta. Hands down. Atlanta is the worst place in the world to drive.
Oh, man.
I
would think New York would be the worst.
No, it isn't.
Wow.
I promise you, it isn't. Now, the people in LA are friendly, okay? That's why it's okay to drive there, because they're just like, oh, we're stuck here. We're not going to, yeah, pull in front of me. It doesn't matter. You're not getting anywhere either. You know, I feel like that's their thing. New York, the problem is there's just not enough space to add more roads, and they need to add more roads, right? That's the problem with New York. So we're all just kind of stuck in a mess. You got people driving on the sidewalks and stuff like that, you know, in New York, just because there's no more room left, right? But hands down, Atlanta, worst place to drive.
I can say I was caught in rush hour traffic in Chicago, and Atlanta was actually worse.
Oh, absolutely, it's worse. Seattle's not as bad. I think it's better. Portland, Seattle, either one. Vancouver, Washington, not Canada. I've not been that far north driving. Although I've driven in Montreal, Also not as bad. That's why I say this is international. Atlanta is the worst place to drive. I will say this, though. If someone tells me a bad experience in Dallas, I would have to believe them because I have avoided Dallas like the plague in a vehicle.
I've heard it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I've literally you pay money to drive around that city. Literally, there's a road you can go on, and it costs money, and you avoid it. and that's what I've done. Never driven in Dallas, avoided it.
I don't know how we got to this.
I don't either.
But it was fun.
It was Nashville, so there you go.
So any parting shots for you, Rod?
Huh?
Was just there. Oh, Eric saying
that was it right there. I mean, you served it up. Assist with your Katie being in Nashville. So.
There you go. There you go.
Yep.
So we're all saying, Rod, you're even saying 3 more games to go?
I think 3. I was almost inclined to say there would be a 6th game, but it's just I got to play the percentages and say it's going to be in 5 as well.
He wants to say 6 games because he can be right if it's 6 games. But he knows it's 5 games.
I just don't feel it's a shaky 6. You know, like if you're playing spades and you're just like, I got 2 and a possible. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
2
we're
and a
talking
half?
about like half of a possible when I'm talking about game 6 with the Heat here right now. So I mean, it's not even a fully confident, uncertain book.
Right. So you're definitely not getting any sandbags, is what you're telling me.
Oh no.
Oh man. All right. So we're saying Drew's saying 3, I'm saying 3, and Rod's saying 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
3 and a possible, right? We're gonna keep it spades, right?
He's gonna be rounding up. He's got the spread going over there with 3.5 points instead of committing to 3 or 4.
If they just can come to me instead of Vegas, this is great.
Right. No doubt. So we appreciate y'all being here today. Remember, we won't be on next week. Both Rod and I will be out of town, and obviously Drew won't because he just stays in Birmingham because that's where he likes to be because Nashville doesn't want him. But nothing's gonna change here. We're gonna try to bring you the best conversation we can. We want all of your feedback, all your comments. You saw tonight, people were commenting and we were talking back and forth, and that's how it's going to continue to be. We're going to have more guest hosts on the show in the upcoming weeks. You know who you are. But Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, for some of the people that may be coming on. They're in the Eastern time zone, so a little bit later for them. But as always, you can find us on all social media platforms. We're posting a little bit more, get more active on Facebook. Obviously, we're always on Apple Podcasts, and we're gonna get more energized, get more things out there for y'all to be able to see. So if you don't already follow us, why? Check us out. But until then, we'll see you in 2 weeks.